Okay, we'll talk now about Henri Labrouste, 1801-1875, a very important 19th century French architect. This was the man. So let's read. Henri Labrouste, born on May 11th and died on June 24th. Today we are on June 25th. Was a French architect important for his early use of iron frame construction. Iron frame construction, and indeed was very important in his work. Labrouste entered the École des Beaux-Arts in Paris in 1819, so more than 200 years ago, won the Prix de Rome for architecture in 1824, and spent the period from 1825 to 1830 in Italy, after which he opened a studio in Paris. Labrouste is primarily remembered for the two Parisian libraries he designed: the Bibliothèque Saint-Geneviève, built between 1843 and 1850, is still admired for the attractiveness and restraint of its decoration and for the sensitive use of exposed iron structural elements, columns and arches. Labrouste is also remembered for his second library project, the Reading Room, 1860-1867, of the Bibliothèque Nationale, also in Paris. Its roof consists of 9 decorated metal domes supported by slender cast iron columns. So a few images of his work, including his portrait, and here is a sculpted work representing Henri Labrouste, truly a very important French architect. Otherwise, he would not have been immortalized in stone. Labrouste, Henri Labrouste, structure brought to light. And this is what you see is the ceiling of the reading room in the Bibliothèque Nationale, the National Library of France. Some drawings of Henri Labrouste. He was trained, in the Beaux-Arts tradition, so ornament was always present. Manual work, of course, watercolored or whatever. Here we see glimpses of his famous ornamental exposed iron work, and we are going to see the built work. Even here, you see structure. These are structural elements, but not divorced from ornamentation. So this is important to notice, that he had a preoccupation with a structure which was honest, but its honesty didn't say no to ornament. And ornament, in my opinion, is important. It's very difficult to have structure without ornament, because ornamentation is something, it adds a new dimension to structure. It softens it, makes it more sensitive, and it brings structure to positive negotiation with aesthetics. Now, this is a drawing actually from Viollet-le-Duc, who probably influenced Henri Labrouste. A drawing by him. Historicism was, of course, addressed. At that time, in the 19th century, architects were very aware of what preceded them. We kind of ignore history now, but I think we can still be ourselves without neglecting the past. Henri Labrouste, étude de reconstitution du temple de la basilique à Pestum. If you arrive in the south of France, in the south of Italy, sorry, please do not neglect to see the Heras temple. There are actually 2 temples in Pestum. For me, they are the most formidable architectures that are ever saw. I didn't see the whole world, but I saw the particularly Heras temple in Pestum. a very, very, very powerful architecture. It impressed Louis Kahn, who said the temple, Hera's temple in Paestum, is more important than the Parthenon in Athens. It impressed Goethe, it impressed Winkelmann, and it impressed Piranesi. Piranesi, who made a series of 18 or 17 etchings of this formidable temple. And it is said that actually the drawing by Labrouste doesn't do justice to what is there, because the telluric force of the pre-Doric columns is unbelievable. I read that it's like a legend that couples which are not fertile, they spend the night in the proximity of the temple and they become fertile. It's possible. Anyway, Henri Labrouste. This again, it's actually, this is the temple that I'm talking about, but this is a very, almost lifeless drawing or representation, graphic representation. The reality of the temple is beyond words and beyond what we look at here, because here is a tamed temple. That's the temple. It's called Hera's temple or the temple of Neptune in Paestum. The Bibliothèque Saint-Geneviève, we are going to see the building. Henri Labrouste. In a way, they infuriate me, these drawings, because they are so, I don't know, so removed in a way from life, from the conflicts of life, from the blood of life, from the passion of life, from the conflicts of life. Saint-Geneviève Library, Bibliothèque Saint-Geneviève, Place du Panthéon in Paris, 1838-1851. Here it is, but what is moving is actually inside. People stay in line, maybe tourists or maybe school people trying to see the famous work by Henri Labrouste, and famous it is. The building towards the outside, okay, it's a container of books. But inside, you will be surprised by the poetry, the architectural poetry of his exposed ironwork, which again doesn't say no to ornament. Look at this. This is the reading room. I think it's beautiful, and it is beautiful because structure became ornamental. It's almost like longing for transforming architectural structure into an approximation of the wings of a butterfly. It's this light spirit, and it comes from marrying structure with ornament. Nobody asked him to model ornamentally this curved beam. Why did he do it? Because he needed beauty. He needed l'esprit de finesse. Because Boileau, a very important theoretician of culture, French theoretician of culture, said, talked about l'esprit de géométrie, the spirit of geometry, and l'esprit de finesse, the spirit of fineness. And in a way, it's talking about structure and ornament. Ornament brings that spirit of fineness, of grace. So the structure here, which is done in metal, in iron, is graceful, and is graceful exactly because it assumes ornament. Now, of course, not every ornament is graceful. In this case, it is. You see the masonry of the walls, they are massive, but there is a feeling of liberation, of aesthetical freedom at the top of the room, at the top of the building. And you can speculate that maybe this is the role of knowledge, of reading, of knowing. It liberates the spirit. Or, as Walter Gropius said, a mind works best when it is like an umbrella, open. Well, in a way here, it's almost some kind of an umbrella above this vast space of Bibliothèque Saint-Geneviève by Henri Labrouste, to liberate the spirit. It's a very fine room. And as you can see, it's filled with people. Maybe the architectural qualities of the room, of the space, are conducive to study. Bibliothèque Saint-Geneviève, Henri Labrouste. The plan is rectangular, but within this plan, because of the gracefulness of the design, the spirit of the building and the spirit of the interior is not rigid. And this is so thanks to this graceful ornamental structure. Bibliothèque Saint-Geneviève, Paris. But we see ornament also insinuating itself, on the side, on these walls here. So, the structure of these shelves itself contains some sculptural ornamental motifs. So there is, a relationship between the spirit of the ceiling and the spirit of whatever is, adjacent to the walls, or, I don't know how the tables, I didn't study them in detail, but you see here, there are things which are done very rarely these days because we are obsessed with the simplicity, but simplicity sometimes falls into simplistic, and that's not what we should do, should aspire towards. Henri Labrouste. Who would say that this is not beautiful? I don't think there are many people who would say so. And that's because ornament is challenging structure to escape its possibly morose seriousness and sing or dance or be, light spirited, and this is important for architecture. Paul Valéry, the great French poet, was right when he said, well, in his little book, Eupalinos ou l'architecte, Eupalinos or the architect, he said there are three kinds of builders. There is a builder who places a stone above another stone, and he's a builder. Then there is a builder who places a stone above another stone and makes them talk. He is a master builder. And the third one is the one who places a stone above another stone and makes them sing. His name is Eupalinos, or the architect. So here we see actually, well, it's not about stones in this case, it's about iron, but I think if I am to allow to speak in, exalted terms, this structure sinks at the top. And for this, Henri Labrouste deserves to be named Eupalinos ou l'architecte, Eupalinos or the architect. It's not an extravagant song. It's not a loud song. It's a discreet song, but but it is important that it is a song. And within this song, ornament plays its role. Le grand séminaire de Rennes, devenu la faculté de lettres, puis des sciences économiques. Anyway, it's an educational building, 1853, 1872, in Rennes, not in Paris, rather austere towards the outside. But even here we see the beams, you know, trying to be less oppressive or oppressed even. The ironwork of Henri Labrouste deserves reflection and attention. '19th century, Rennes. Now we arrive at the second very important work by Henri Labrouste, the reading room at the National Library in Paris, 1854, 1875. And this is a visualization, a graphic visualization of a room that was built just like this. You see Salle Labrouste in the plan of the building. Maybe there could be again a new life for the Beaux-Arts way of doing architecture. Remains to be seen. This is the room. Labrouste salle, Labrouste room in this library. And I think again, the building wants to sing. Thus, again, Henri Labrouste deserves to be called the follower of Eupalinos or Eupalinos himself. I like very much this, and again, talking about Walter Gropius and his idea that the mind works best when it is like an umbrella, open. Well, in a way, we see here open umbrellas, don't we? And this is the role of a library, of a reading room, to open up spirit, to open up the mind through knowledge. And we see that it inspires even dancers, because between singing and dancing is a very short distance. Bravo to Henri Labrouste. The reading room in the National Library in Paris. It's the same spirit in the dancers and in their dance and in the structure of the ceiling and the roof. Again, bravo to Henri Labrouste. And bravo to his discreet, graceful, ornamental ironwork for the structure. It must be probably beautiful to study in this inspiring space. It does matter. It does matter. Because imagine you sit at one of these desks and you have a book in front of you, and for a, from time to time you glimpse, you look at towards the ceiling, and you see this symphonic work. it lifts your spirit. It makes you luminous and desiring for a better everything. The whole building was designed by other people. He only designed the, the reading room of the National Library. And he was not afraid to take risks, because when you look at this building, you wouldn't expect this kind of termination at the top. Henri Labrouste, reading room, the National Library, Paris, built mid-19th century. Now, there is also painting, there are frescoes, there are the books, there are the shelves themselves, which are gracefully done. There are other things here, of course, but the generosity of the ceiling and of the roofing system is inspiring everything else within the building, within the room. The Labrouste salle, Labrouste room. Why did he place this, little, sculptural work here? Well, this room is about knowledge, no? It's about an idealized version of life. It's about, inspiring people, and sculpture could help. I mean, I love these pictures. I see here countless books, and I see countless people, and I see the modernity of screens, the modernity of electronic, management of knowledge. And also I see the architecture of the 19th century. So it's something sophisticated, cosmopolitan. Is you see statues, you see portraits of famous people, meaning people of culture, and you see the emancipation that the structure of the room that Labrouste envisioned inspire you towards. And again, I imagine it's a pleasure to study there. You feel encouraged to believe in the world you are in, and to believe in culture, to believe in knowledge. Very nice work. Now, Hotel Touré Neuilly-sur-Seine, 1860. After we saw those two libraries by Labrouste, we can only go downwards. But he built a few other buildings, as you can see. Villa Labrouste. Actually, was this? I don't know. It was written Villa Labrouste, but here is named differently. Did he live here? Maybe. I don't know. Very nice room indeed. Another space where with great pleasure you would open a book, or maybe even play the guitar or write a poem. Look at that glorious tall window and door. Very nice, nicer than from the outside. Hotel de Villery, 1865. I imagine in Paris. But again, after those two libraries that we saw, we can only move downwards, so to speak. So that was the short presentation of Henri Labrouste.